which is great because it just gives me more time to talk, which I like to talk, so it kind of works out good. Did anybody come to the survival guide? Is the survival guide count? Anyway, we had a seminar last week at Maggiano's, and there was 4 of us up there, panel. Anybody see that online or whatnot? Yeah?
I was there.
Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, that was a good time. That was a lot of fun up there. Just going through a lot of stuff. That panel was, you got some really good guys up there that have a lot of knowledge and whatnot. So hopefully today we will expand on that. For those of you that don't know, my name is Jason Mendoza. I run My Rental Superstore. So I'm a property manager, okay? That's like my main thing. But I also do flips. I also buy and hold. I represent buyers as a buyer's agent. I represent sellers as a seller's agent sometimes. I don't do it a whole lot anymore because mainly what I do is I focus on my business of doing that. But I'm not going to sit here and waste your guys' time with telling you all the nuts and bolts of property management. That's not what you're here for. That just happens to be what I do. What I am going to cover is trying to figure out how do we get some more tools for your tool belt. So, if this thing is working, let's find out here. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on one second here, guys. And let's see if this will work. There we go. We're going to see how to find valuable investment deals in an overpriced market. I'm going to change the name of this course too and probably do something else next time to just make it a little more consolidated. But ultimately, it's how do we find more deals, right? Isn't that ultimately what we want to do? And also, what I want to tell you is please jump in with questions at any time. I've taught this course a bunch of times, and every single one is different, okay? And it is designed to have interaction from you guys. You guys have my time right now. Those people out there in TV land don't, but you guys do. So my time is for you. And so any questions that you have that you come up with or anything like that, please jump in, let me know. We'll try to answer anything that we can, okay? All right. So that's okay. So a little more housekeeping on me. I've been in the business since 2003. I've bought and sold, literally hundreds of houses and whatnot. Current project I'm working on right now is an 8-unit down in Tucson. That fell in my lap through a wholesaler, and it just, things kind of happen over the years and whatnot. Started out and I was doing, I bought a rental house in Sacramento, and I'll tell you this real quick story. It was a duplex. There was a fourplex that I should have bought. That was probably the biggest mistake I ever made in real estate because it was a 4-bedroom, fourplex Victorian downtown Sacramento. It was 2003. It was $50,000 more than the duplex I bought, and the duplex was a little... It sucked, but I still made money on it and everything. But if I would have bought the fourplex, did what I originally set out to do, and what I tell people to do now, that thing would be paid off, and it would probably grow. It would probably net close to $8,000 a month right now, and that was 17, 18, 19 years ago. So it is what it is, okay? And that's one of the things in real estate. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. Whatever. Learn from it. The important thing is to constantly learn from it, all right? Taking everything you can, learn, and move forward, okay? And that's basically what I did. From 2003, went to Monterey, California, where I'm from, was in the loan business, had the boom, et cetera, et cetera. Then it crashed out in 06, 07, and I ended up in Arizona, went to work at Chase Bank for a little while. And when I was done with that, some guy actually walked in the bank and was like, "Hey man, they're selling houses for $10,000." And I'm like, "You're out of your mind." Lo and behold, did a little research, and I was like, "Oh, there are houses literally for $10,000 out there." So bought my first 2 houses for $39,000 and $49,000, and years later, I just sold those last year to my partner to basically buy out his portion of some rental property that we had, and so I kept the cash flow, he took the money, and went and did what he did. Okay, so that's my story and whatnot. So let's work into how we're going to find some valuable deals and whatnot. Okay. All right. What do you need to know? And this thing's a little off center. Let me see if shoot. No, maybe I'll read it. What do you need to know? All right. So on everything, this should say contemplate, evaluate. Can one of you guys run out to Kelly real quick and tell her it's just a little over? All right. So look, when we start with deals and whatnot, or we look for anything right now. Right now, how hard is it to find an actual deal for one of our clients? I mean, just to buy a house, it is really difficult. We're running into cash. We're running into people that are coming with a lot more money. We're having a lot of issues that we're running into right now. So, what we have to do is we have to think outside the box as realtors, okay? As realtors and whatnot, you're going to start to see a lot of people pass deals on to you or tell you, I have a deal, okay? And so what we got to do is we always have to try to look at it from a standpoint of, does the deal make sense, okay? Talk about this a lot. Is whatever's in front of you, is that going to make sense to you to work for the type of deal that comes up, okay? It's very simple. Look at it, contemplate and think about it. Then,
Chase, I'm going to see if I can make that fit better.
Sure. And part of contemplating is evaluating. All right, so we're evaluating and whatnot. A lot of times with looking at it, it's doing some comps, et cetera, looking to see if there's some margin. Okay, so always when you're looking at deals and whatnot, is there some sort of margin and whatnot? Then you've got to initiate. Okay, initiate, get in there, talk to the actual buyer or the seller. Okay, whether that's going to be knocking on a door, making a phone call, doing whatever you got to do, you've got to initiate it somehow. Thank you, Kelly.
Sure.
Okay. And then when I talk about relate, all right, one of the things that we always want to do with our buyers is make things relatable for them. Okay. I use a myriad of different stories and things like that, and information that's come to me over the years and whatnot, so I can use that to relate. But it doesn't always have to be about real estate, okay? Make something relatable, whether it's cars, if they're into that, relate it in that manner, okay? I've got a 64 Mustang. It needs an engine, but the chassis looks good. It's ready to go. If we just drop that engine in there, guess what? It's worth a lot more. Same thing with houses. Houses, the same thing. Hey, look, it's a little dated at the inside, but there's some spread in there. Okay, there's $30,000, $40,000 worth of spread. It can be done. All right. So it's all about making things relatable, connecting the dots. All right. That's a lot of what has to happen when we're starting to look for the deals. Same thing on the seller's side. Well, I think I can, take this out to the market, or I want to sell it to my kid, or I want to leave it for my kids, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, cool. You want to leave it to your kids? Guess what they're going to do? First thing that usually happens on any kind of, if you look at any kind of wealth or business that passes down, between the first and second generation, the business is gone. Same thing with houses. What do you think happens every time somebody passes away? That house is gone. Kids get it. They're selling it. There's no way they're going to stick around with it and they're going to turn it into a rental. Maybe. But for the most part, it's sold. So why not sell it now? You want to give something to your kids and whatnot? Sell it now. All right? So it's all about relating to something. Okay? And initiating. All right? We kind of went over that. All right. So look. How do I find a deal that makes sense? All right. So look, just like anything, and again, so I like to do a little housekeeping here in the beginning, and we're talking about price and location, condition, maintenance, things like that. How many of you guys work in anything bigger than single family? Have you sold anything bigger than a single family home? You have. What have you sold?
Commercial properties.
Commercial properties. Nice. You, sir?
Yeah, I sold a couple commercial and some multifamily.
How many? How big was that commercial? How many units, or was it an office building, or what was it?
6. Yeah, up in Cape Creek we have one that we just sold, and then
Awesome.
Another one that I sold in Phoenix.
Okay.
I just got back here a year ago.
Completely different thing than selling residential, right?
Yep.
Okay. So look, for the rest of you guys, it's completely different once you go from I'm selling a single family house, a condo, something like that, or I've got somebody who's looking for it, because you guys are going to get more of that. Buyers who are like, hey, I want to buy 2 units. I want to buy 3 units. I want to buy 4 units. Okay. So this lady over here, what's her name?
Lisa.
Lisa sold 6 units. Okay. That is commercial residential. All right. So there's commercial properties, which are, they run a tire shop out of it. They have the Scottsdale Gun Club. They have this office, commercial property, right? Then there's commercial residential. All right. Anything bigger than 4 units is commercial residential. Once you get a 5, commercial residential. So it's a different set of parameters, different buyers. Those buyers are going to be asking you about cap rates and things like that. Okay. We still have residential investment properties. They're smaller, 4 and less, okay? You still will have people that will ask you about cap rates and stuff like that, but this is different. This is more of, let's look at what are we going to make on the building, and it's residential. Okay, so you still got to rent them out and whatnot. So we got to look at it from that standpoint. All right, price and location. You guys got that. Condition. All right. Again, same thing with single family and whatnot, but a little bit more to look into because now we're starting to drift into, is there an opportunity here? All right. So obviously, in a lot of situations, somebody's going to sell a house and whatnot. If there's something damaged with the house, if there's some sort of condition, it needs a new roof, whatever, it's going to make a difference and it's going to alter that price. Okay, so that condition is really important to look at, and that gives us a bargaining chip as well. Maintenance. When you go to multifamilies, anything bigger than one, even one, if you're renting it out, that maintenance you want to look at. Okay, that's something to consider, and that goes back to the condition. Does it look like it needs to have some things done to it? If it does, then we need to get in there and kind of go, hey, there's some deferred maintenance on this property. Maybe that's going to alter that price. Maybe that's going to make it different for my owner. Okay, so that's something there. Monthly costs, I'll talk about a little bit too. When you go into multifamily, anything bigger than one unit, for the most part, you are going to have some monthly costs that are going to go to the owner. The biggest one is usually you're picking up water, garbage, and sewer. Okay, so that's something that you consider because you have those multiple units and whatnot. So there may be something there. There may be some monthly costs with landscaping. There may be some monthly costs with electricity if you have some of that. Okay, so that's something there. And then another thing too, when you're evaluating deals beyond just single family to sell to your buyer who's going to live in there, how much income does it make? Okay, all right. So how much and where is it at? All right, price. Again, I like to cover a few of these things in this class just to kind of refresh and whatnot, because one of the good things is to kind of take in as you're going, soak it in, and start going, okay, I forgot about that. Yeah, I always need to consider that. Square footage, lot size, number of units, bedrooms per unit. I'll talk about that really quick, okay? When you guys are looking for deals and whatnot, and I'm going to talk a little bit about wholesalers and whatnot later on here, you get offered a lot of stuff over time, okay? First thing I'll tell you right now, and this deal just came up a month ago. Guy was offering 10 units for like $400,000, okay? Right off the bat, that sounds like, heck yeah, sign me up. I want that. That's 10 units, $40,000 a door. Problem number one, it's in Ajo. Anybody know where Ajo is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's on the other side of Gila Bend, okay? So when somebody comes with a deal and whatnot, and this is part of looking for these deals and whatnot, you can evaluate and get rid of a lot of the junk because you are going to be siphoning through right now. Right now it's a lot like panning for gold. You're going through, you're looking, the more stuff you can eliminate right off the bat, the faster you can maneuver. Okay, because the biggest thing that you have to do right now is you need to look and evaluate as many deals as you can. And you need to be nimble with them. You need to go through them. Don't get caught up on stuff like that. If you can identify things that are automatic disqualifications, you get rid of them. Okay? The place is in Ajo, all right? That's way out there. Number one, not going to be the easiest thing to manage. Number two, how much industry and what's out there? Not a whole lot. Okay? So a big problem is if somebody offers you something like that, you have to consider, are we going to be able to fill that building up? Is there industry enough to keep that rented out? Next thing that was wrong with the building, they're all studios, efficiency units. Okay? Efficiency units. Biggest thing where you have an issue with that, high turnover. Okay? So keep this in mind. If something like that comes across where it's like, hey, it looks really cheap, location number one looks bad. Let's say that deal was in South Phoenix. That could still work. Let's say it's in Central Phoenix. Let's say it's in Scottsdale. That works. Okay, so location, that's still doable. Ajo, goodbye. Can't do it. It's just too far out. Now, if Ajo works for you, then fine. Okay, because we all come from different backgrounds and different places and whatnot. If that's something that's workable for you, then cool. Keep going. For me, instant checkmate. Off. Goodbye. And I had one of my business partners like, dude, we got to jump on this and whatnot. I'm like, no, we don't need to jump on this. If you want to jump on that, be my guest. I'm like, but I'm not even going to worry about anything else because location was number one. But let's say the location was good. Now I'm going on number of units. Well, the number of units is 10. Now that next one right there, how many bedrooms per unit? That's where I start looking at stuff going like, if somebody's offering me efficiency units right away, I'm like, no, forget it. I don't care where you're offering them. I don't care if you're offering them next to ASU. I don't want it because I know the turnover. So that's what I do as a property manager. I know what kind of units are going to turn over. And I know that turnover, meaning a vacancy, is going to cost me. It's going to cost me at least 1 month's vacancy. It always does. Every time there's a turnover, 1 month vacancy. So I just went from 12 months rented out to 11. All right? And it's something that I got to consider down the road, but it's something that when you hear efficiency units, that's where you need to go, I don't know, man. Maybe I'll look at it. It may still work. Ask to look at the rent rolls and maybe you go from there. But for the most part, instant disqualification for me. Next thing is, I'm sorry. If it's 1 bedrooms, I'm starting to think about it. If I start getting all 2-bedroom units, now you're talking. Okay, because 2-bedroom units usually will have people that will stay a lot longer. Okay, so keep that in mind. When you're looking for multifamily, if you can get 2 bedrooms or more, it's starting to become a much better deal. Right? All right, is there room to add on? I'll be honest with you. More often than not, if you buy a property and they're selling it to you because there's additional lot size, there's room to add on and stuff like that, it's never going to happen. You're just never going to do it. Like you might, but the reality is you're not going to do that. Keep this in mind though. Remember, you're always making your money when you buy. Room to add on? What is room to add on? It's hope. It's the vision that something could happen, right? So if I got a hope, I got a vision, I might not actually do it, but I can still sell that to the next guy. Okay? So that is actually an added feature you never have to take advantage of, but it is a nice little plus. If I've got a huge lot in the back and it's like I'm zoned correctly and I could add 5 more units back there, I can sell that to somebody else. Okay? If you end up doing it, awesome. Good for you. That is a great score. It's neither here nor there when you buy. Buy the property going, it's going to do this for me. It has that hope, and I can sell that going forward. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right, and comparables. Everybody knows comparables, blah, 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 blah. Make sure it compares. All right. Location, city. Zoning's a big thing. Don't forget about zoning. If somebody comes to you with a deal and whatnot, keep your eye on that zoning. Go look. Pull it up on the MLS. Try to find out. Is it, R5, R3, whatever it may be. Make sure it's zoned for what they're trying to sell it to you for, okay? Another thing I'll tell you real quick, if somebody tries to give you a deal and you go over there, let's say we'll just stick with 2, 3, 4 units right now, right? 2 units. And you go over there and you're like, there's only 1 electrical panel, okay? It's going to be a problem, right? That may be something that you could split it down the road, but in the here and now, you got 1 electrical panel. 1 electrical panel for 2 units means problems. That means you can't tell them, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, go pay SRP or APS for your electricity, and I don't have to deal with it. No, that means somebody's going to have the electricity in their name. Most often it's going to be the owner. And then you're going to have to split it on a monthly basis, or your buyer will have to split it or figure that out on a monthly basis. It's just a headache down the road. Is it something you can work through? Absolutely. Absolutely. But another little nugget to keep in mind, if you have multiple units, you need to have at least 1.5 parking spaces in order to get a permit to add a unit or add a water meter or anything like that. All right? So you need to keep that in mind. So if you start talking about like 6 units back there, Lisa it was? The 6 units back there, what's that? 6 plus another 50%, 9 parking spaces. Otherwise, you're stuck with whatever's there. Most likely somebody built it a long time ago. So really look at those electrical meters. All right. Gas also, if you have gas in the individual apartments and whatnot, make sure there's those 6 gas meters in there too, or format, or whatever it may be. Water, garbage, sewer, not such a big deal. It's pretty standard, pretty customary. I will tell you this: I bought one in about 4 years ago on 33rd and Van Buren, and it had individual water meters. And my business partner on that one is constantly trying to tell me, hey, let's sell. And I have 50%, so I'm like, can't sell without me, dude, and I'm going to keep blocking you until the end of time. The reason being is because that one's a gold mine. That one, I don't have to pay the extra $200 to $250 a month on water every month. The tenants pay that. Everything's individually metered on that. If you can find that, a property that has individual water, garbage, and sewer, that's a home run. And it's very rare. Very, very rare. But make sure electricity and make sure gas is metered out to individual apartments. You put it on them. Go pay for your own stuff. Number two, and sometimes you'll inherit leases. If the leases have it written in that the owner is paying for electrical, in general, you kind of want to walk away from that. If it makes sense, and again, there's no right or wrong on anything that I'm telling you. There's just a million different ways. Look at all the nuts and bolts of it. If the leases are ending or if they're already in month to month, that can work. Because you just go over there and go, yeah, I'm going to pay for your stuff for 30 days, but guess what? You want to stay? You got to take over your utilities. I took down a fourplex years ago, and every single one of the doors had leases where they were paying for the electricity, and I knew it. But I told my partner, I was like, I've maneuvered through enough of these at this point, so not a problem. First time out, I would have been in a lot of trouble. Back in 2003, I would have been in a lot of trouble because I would have been like, oh man. And I've had my guys, even as a rental company, make some mistakes like that before. And I'm like, well, hey, you're going to have to eat that electrical for 6 months. It'll be fine. You'll make it. So it can happen. But if you learn from me, hear what I'm telling you now, always look for that. Try not to pay for utilities. Don't ever pay for utilities unless if you're down to like a month and you're like, the deal's so good, I can pay for that electrical bill for a month. I just need to give them their 30-day notice. And then after that, it's on them. Okay? So a big thing to keep in mind. Amenities when you're looking at a deal, make sure there's good stuff and possible potential good changes, good and bad. Look for stuff like that when you're looking at a deal and whatnot. That means, do you know that, I'm going to build something up or I'm going to buy something in New River and I know that the Chinese or the Taiwanese microchip factory's coming in a couple of years. Okay? So if you know information like that where you think things are going to get better, like for instance, if you're buying stuff out in Buckeye, Torteso, anybody familiar with that community? Yeah. What freeway's going in there eventually?
Actually, I'm from there. My grandpa's property was actually one of the ones that they were going to possibly take to build out in that freeway. I don't know the name of it.
The 11.
In Buckeye.
Where's that thing going?
It's going to go from Vegas.
Vegas to here. What does that mean? Oh my God, that is a valuable spot now. Torteso, all Buckeye has gotten really valuable all of a sudden because that's part of it. Californians coming in, and guess what? From there to San Bernardino, 4 hours. Okay, from there to Scottsdale, where I live, 6 hours? And especially with traffic and everything. So if I'm from California, and I work in town, let's say I've got kids and everything, then it's a great area out there, and I can just commute into work every day. And then guess what? Every weekend, we're in the car and we're on our way to LA. We're on our way home. Go visit family. Easy shot. And I don't got to deal with Phoenix traffic. So that's become a very important thing. So it's things like that. Consider things like that when you're looking for deals and stuff like that. Different selling points that you can for your clients and whatnot. Okay, we're still working on the nuts and bolts of digging them up. But digging them up and finding the deals is one part. Then is it really a deal? Okay, so keep these things flowing in your head, going always looking at, hey, is there something there that somebody else is missing? And people will miss it. Here and there, people will miss it. It's few and far between, but it will. This makes the difference between being a really good agent and some of the bad agents that can be out there. Yes, ma'am.
Are you finding that you're having to educate folks that are coming from out of state a little more on this market? Because
Absolutely.
People talk about, their cap rates and other things like that, and then I feel like they get a little shocked when it's like, yeah, you're not going to find that.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're always educating. So, there's different, let's talk about sales, right? That's because, let me be honest, you guys are real estate agents. What are you really? You're salesmen, salespeople, salesmen, whatever. That's what you're in. You're in sales, right? So part of sales is education, or how are you going to sell, all right? Everybody has a different style. Don't use my style unless if you've got what I got and you've got this wealth of knowledge where you're just shoving it in people's face going like this and this and this and this. If you can rattle that out, use it. That's what I use because education is how I sell. Sometimes you sell in different ways, but whatever works for you, work for you. But if you can take pieces of this, of the, I can educate you, I can give you information, that helps you stand out, because you're not only are they, and they're always buying you, but you know a little something, and maybe that little something makes them want to go with you. Okay, so having that education and doing that for people as they come from out of town, you got to do that. That little tidbit about the 11, that's a big thing to tell people, because once that's built, I mean, from there it's going to be what, maybe 3 hours to Vegas by car. You can't fly there any faster. You can't get over to Sky Harbor and get to McCarran from that part of town. There's no way. Even where I live in Old Town, like, it's 10 minutes to the airport. It's still going to take me 3 hours, 3.5 hours to get to my hotel in Vegas. It's only an hour more for me to drive, but if I'm on the outskirts of town, or if I'm in Buckeye, there's no way I'm flying. And right now, if you're in Buckeye, you got to come in, you got to take 303 out, take 60, blah, blah, blah. When that 11's done, quick shot. So you have those two things that you can really hit on. They're good selling points. So always look for different selling points and whatnot when you're talking about your location with owners. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, there's a lot of development going on, so what would you look into for potentially, like, new companies, like employers coming in, or like new entertainment, new venues, new parks, stuff like that? I mean, because that's, like you said, it's a tidbit to know
Absolutely.
what's coming up and, like, on future developments.
Yeah, and so it's like what Microsoft has all that stuff out there and whatnot. So it depends on what part of town you're going to focus in. Okay, so if you are focused over there, yeah, know that. If you're down in Chandler, East Valley, and whatnot, find out what's going on in Santan Valley and stuff like that, because there's different things that are going to bring people in. There's that whole Ocotillo area down there in Chandler. It's really nice and whatnot. I'm wondering if it's going to split off into its own city fully at some point. That might be something to keep your eye on. All those little things are just different things to really help you. Right now, another thing, and you guys have seen this out there, the rents are skyrocketing. They are skyrocketing and whatnot. So it's a good thing to tell people. Like right now, when I have people buy something, if they're buying for investment, I'm like, look, it's this now. We're projecting out maybe 20% down the road. I mean, it is crazy. So going back to that fourplex that I was telling you about in Sacramento, I lost it, blah, blah, blah. I got my second chance. So I bought one in Glendale about 6 years ago. So I bought a lot of property 5-6 years ago. I hit it at the right time. I was very lucky. And I bought it, and I talked about this in the survival guide. I bought it with an FHA loan. Okay? Anybody know why I bought it with an FHA loan? 3.5% down? Yeah, 3.5% down. All I had to do was go move into it for a year. Now, I didn't want to move to Glendale, I'll be honest. I had no desire to move to Glendale. But I was like, if I'm willing to sacrifice for a year and move over there, now I have that thing on FHA, and I can, have it owner occupied and whatnot. So, in different times and whatnot, and you're going to watch interest rates rise this year. In different times and whatnot, you always want to try to buy an owner occupied building if you can, because you get a lower rate. And if you can buy it with no money down, you get a VA loan, do it that way. If you're not a vet, do an FHA, a conventional, whatever the least amount down you can. In normal times, you do that. Right now, kind of hard to do. But anyway, I bought that place, right? And then eventually I refinanced it into a 15-year loan, and I'm paying that building off, and it's going great and whatnot. And I was sitting there, again, like I said, talking to you about that 8 units up, or those 4 units up in Sacramento, going like, man, God, I blew it on that, man. I lost it. Now I have a second chance of that, and I'm going like, I was sitting there doing my numbers because I bought the building and everybody's paying $450. So I was like, my mortgage is $1,100, and I've got the 1 unit, and I've got $1,200 coming in. I'm like, I'm basically living for free and whatnot. And once I move out, I'll be making $1,800 a month. Well, that changed quickly to where it was $500 and then $600, and I was like, man, I'm really positive on this building. And now I got a guy that just moved in. He's paying $1,000 a month. And I got another unit that's probably coming up, and somebody was saying, one of the tenants was telling the other tenant, well, I think he's going to rent it out for like $1,200. And I started thinking, I was like, I probably won't go $1,200, but I'll probably tell him $1,000. And then I was looking around a little more, and I was going, it's probably going to be $1,200. I'm probably going to tell him, hey, 2 bedrooms, it's $1,200. I'm down the street from Glendale Community College. This is what it's going to be. So the point of the story is, I'm projecting it out to be at least $1,500 a door, you know, when I pay it off. That's conservative. I'm going to pay it off in about 7 years. And I'm going, $1,500 a door? I didn't think for a second it'd be $1,500 a door. And I've got another fourplex down in off of 35th and Van Buren, which is close to the other, the triplex. And I'm going, that one, I just rented out a door at $900. I was like, that one's going to probably be close to $1,500 a door. And so you start looking at these numbers and you're going, God, these numbers are just pressing into like a spot that I didn't even think it was going to be. And, you know, it just starts to happen that way. And you can always look at, the point is, those rents are going to keep going up, okay? There's no way they're going to go down. We were stagnated for a long time and whatnot. They may level, but they're going to keep going up, yeah.
That's what I was going to ask, if you foresee them going down, stabilizing or anything at any point in the near future.
Number one reason why I don't think they're going to go down is because minimum wage is going to continue to go up. Okay, you've got a political narrative that has been pushing minimum wage for a long time. It's a complete lie, and I'll tell you why. Because $10 an hour was fine when rent was $600 for a two bedroom apartment. Well, here's the problem. You move minimum wage up to 12 or 14, but rent went from $600 to $1,200. It doubled. So your money doesn't go as far. Okay? So this narrative gets pushed, and it's like, okay, well, that's great, but $15 buys me what $9 used to. I'm actually losing on the deal. That's kind of how it works. There's always and I won't go too far on that because there's a lot I could say, but there's always a narrative that gets pushed. You need to listen, you need to look below that. Look economically. Go, does that actually make sense? Do the numbers. So one thing that never happens is you can manipulate numbers, but the numbers never lie. And if you sit there and you actually just write it out and go, well, I used to be able to afford this with my $10 an hour. This is what everything costs now. Am I actually ahead? Or am I actually behind? Because now the cost of everything has gone up to where my 12, 13, 14, 15 an hour doesn't buy me what 10 used to. I would rather have the prices just stay the same. And so for that reason, yes, rents I think are going to continue to go up. That's one. Two, inflation. Inflation is not stopping. As they start to raise the rates this year from the Fed, hopefully that will curb it a little bit. But that inflation we're not going to go through deflation. I don't see that. We may see a correction in the housing market as far as prices are concerned, but rent-wise, I don't think that's going to stop because people are making enough money now to afford to pay the higher prices. And it's going to there's going to be an affordability issue that will stop them from going up. But I don't think they're going to go down. I really don't. We've got so many people that have come in from California, Illinois, New York that are bringing the wages up and whatnot that I just don't see them going down. And I don't see your costs going down. Your gas temporarily inflated, war, in Ukraine, et cetera, that will probably taper off, and we'll get back to what's normal level, allegedly a normal level. At 3 something should be $1.50. Actually, you know what? It should be 50 cents as far as I'm concerned. It's all arbitrary and whatnot, but I don't think we're going to be paying $4.50. We're going to probably hit $5 here pretty soon, depending on what's going to happen. But I think it's going to be temporary. But as far as the other costs are going to concern, you see that, and you see what do they call it? Shrinkflation, where you see, your bag of chips used to be 11 ounces of chips, and now it's 9 or it's 8. Look at the packaging. You'll see them do that stuff to you. So no, I don't think rents are going down anytime soon. Okay. All right. So next here, condition of property. I'll fly through this really quick, guys. Exterior, interior, plumbing, blah 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 blah. When you're valuing deals and when people's looking at it, 2 things to really look for. Look at the electrical. Make sure it's not one of those old twisty breakers. Yeah. Make sure they don't have that. Make sure the box doesn't look like it's like, the size of my fist. Sometimes you'll see that. Look for a bigger box. If you can still work through it. That, and then right now I recommend anybody who's got a building built before I'd say maybe mid-70s, spend the $250, $300, whatever it costs. Tell your buyer, get a plumber to go scope the drain line. Make sure it's not cast iron. Okay, not good if it's clay either. You can still work with it depending on condition, but cast iron erodes. It's bad. You're gonna have to fix that. There's a way that you can actually do a. It's really cool actually. they put this stuff down the pipe, and it creates like a plastic pipe inside, an ABS pipe inside that cast iron. Doable. The thing may be collapsing already. Take a look at it. If it's really bad, then negotiate into your price. But those are the things you really want to look at. That foundation to get your building inspection. Sometimes there's not enough time, but that's something. A lot of times the building inspectors won't go. Actually, the building inspectors won't go in there and scope that line for you. So I would pay for that. I would definitely pay for that, and look at that electrical as well. Roofs. Look at the roof. See what kind of years that they have left in it and whatnot. I would always, and if somebody is like, one of your clients is wanting to replace the roof, I would always advise them to go composite versus tile. Tile is very expensive. Yeah, it lasts longer, but for the price of a tile roof, you can get 3 composite roofs, and 3 composite roofs could last you about 90 years. Hey, if you're going to live another 90 years, good on you. I won't be here. But, kind of look at it that way. Always look at your cost and whatnot. All right. Appliances, it's pretty straightforward. Common area costs, another thing to always look at when you're evaluating a deal. Do you have a xeriscape? Do you have lawn? Do you have trees? Do you have things that need to be cut and done so that way they add the cost of maintaining the building? All right. We always want to look at that. What is our cost of maintaining the building? Those are things to look at when you go beyond 1 unit. Okay. All right. Other things that you can make money on when you're finding a deal, if it's bigger, especially laundry facility and vending machines and stuff. Okay, that's usually going to be my 8 unit in Tucson. I actually have a laundry building down there. I probably won't put vending machines in there. I could, and the laundry facility has been canceled since like 1980. The stuff's in there. I'm probably going to fix it up and turn it back into the laundry facility, but there's a little cost that goes with that. But it's additional revenue. Laundry's really actually good too. If you can find somebody to partner up with you and take care of it and whatnot. You need commercial machines, but you have that added cost of going over to collect. So if you got somebody you can team up with, maybe make a few bucks on that, that's great. Other than that, if you ever have a laundry facility, don't do what one of my clients did. He put regular laundry machines in there. In the 5 years he's owned it, he's gone through like 4 or 5 sets because they burn them out. There's no cost to them, so they don't care. They burn it out. He's got extra for water. He's got extra for power and stuff like that. So laundry facility isn't always a good thing. Let me talk really quickly about windows too. This is another little tip I would say. For the most part, dual pane windows will help you when you're selling a building and whatnot. When you actually have them, especially if it's units and it's not in the greatest part of town, you probably want single pane because single panes are so much easier to replace. Dual panes are a pain in the butt to replace. They actually a lot of times have to pull them out, take them away, go down. The 2 panes that are in there, they're actually pressurized and whatnot. So if you break one, you got to take it out. You got to get it. It's very expensive to do. So, you do that, but keep that in mind. Make sure that you have that built in because every time one's broken, it's going to be a lot to fix and whatnot. Great thing to have when you're getting ready to sell the building. Turn it all over to dual pane and whatnot. Everybody, oh, dual pane, yeah. That's great. But in the interim and whatnot, not always to your advantage. Okay. All right, let's see. Maintenance and monthly costs. Talked to you about these things. Utilities, landscaping, leaks are things that will come up and whatnot. So again, a lot of stuff that you can look at up front. Anybody ever run into galvanized pipes? Back in the 50s, 60s, they made these pipes, and they are like right now. If you have galvanized in there, they are on their last legs. That means you're going to basically have to replumb the entire building. Okay, so if you have galvanized, something that you need to think of. It still is not a deal killer, but it is something that you need to think about because it's going to be a replacement cost that's going to come up. All right, so galvanized pipes, broken fixtures. We talked about the plumbing upkeep and things like that. ACs, everybody, you kind of know about your ACs. Real big deal in the summertime and whatnot. Not so bad in the winter, but it's something that you want to make sure that they know. Hey, what's the condition of it, et cetera, and then importantly, get them serviced. Okay, whenever you're looking at it, get it serviced once a year. All right. Management. When you have clients that are looking to buy properties and whatnot, if they're not here in state or they're not going to do it themselves, they're going to have management. Okay, management is always going to be a fee that you've got to factor in and whatnot. Like us, we do 8% a month. Okay, so it's $80 for every 100. Every 1,000 that they collect in rent. You'll get some companies that will do some flat fee stuff. then they're going to have a lot of hidden charges and whatnot that they're going to drop on you. You know, it's just extra fee for scheduling repairs, extra fee for doing inspections. There's all kinds of other stuff, but it's something that you take a look when you're actually analyzing a deal. All right, roof we talked about, paint, front, inside, outside, stuff like that. If there's extra storage on site and whatnot, that's actually a good thing that can actually get you a little bit more in rent. So something to consider. And then, looking at parking, you have a parking lot. Okay, is the parking lot getting near the end of its life? If it is getting near the end of its shelf life, then there's some issues there. You may have to like resurface it or something. Okay, but take a look at that. And laundry and whatnot we talked about already. All right, penny saved, penny earned, but a penny spent can bring in more dollars than pennies. Long term, when you're evaluating deals, long term when you're looking at stuff, over the years things change, right? We all know that styles change, and so it's important to know when is the right time to put more money into a building. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer with it. It's just when does it make sense? Okay, for instance, at a certain point you may have a house and it now, let's say you bought it in 1980. It's a pretty good chance that the interior of that house is not up to today's standards. So it's time to do some renovating in there. All right. I always recommend that you have some sort of renovation budget or whatnot that you start over time. All right. Initially, when you start with deals and whatnot, you always want to get through the first mode of survival. Just survive. Survive the first 6 months. Survive the first year. Make sure that you're able to have renters in there that are going to cover your mortgage plus something. All right. One of the questions that was asked in the survival guide last week, it was asked to all of us up there on stage. It was like, how much money do you need to make on a deal for it to make sense for you? Okay, and the answer that was given by the other panelists was, well, it depends. And it does. It depends on the deal and whatnot. And I was like, you know what? I'll put a dollar amount for you. I was like, if you buy a single family house and after all your costs and whatnot, you can make $300 on it a month. If you can make that $300 a month to start out, that's not bad. That's doable. That's acceptable. Okay? Because that's going to give you about $3,600 a year in profit that you can utilize to cover stuff in your blind spot. Okay? A vacancy, fix up, a major repair, things like that. And you can kind of go from there. All right? That's not always the answer, but that can work. It worked for me. All right? If you're less than that, just make sure you have money there that you can budget everything for. In general, I usually tell people you need to have a minimum of $2,000 put aside for your property. I would tell you now, on your first go around, try to have $5,000 put aside. If you got $5,000 put aside plus that $3,600, you're going to probably be able to weather anything. Okay? And the big thing is that vacancy, because you're going to have that vacant month, no rent. You're going to have potential repairs that go beyond the security deposit, or any kind of fix up that you're going to do. All right, and always stay within your budget. All right, but then when you're going forward and whatnot, again, sometimes it's the time. Paint the outside of the building, paint the inside of the building. Whatever little add-on that you can do in there that's going to increase that rent, then it's time to look at that and evaluate it, because sometimes you can do that. Another time, and what this really goes down to is don't overspend. Okay, sometimes you don't need to put granite countertops in. You think you do and whatnot, but you may be in a part of town. You may be in Ajo. You don't need granite countertops. Laminate countertops will work there. They'll be just fine. Okay? So think about it. When you're evaluating everything, go, is this really going to make a difference for me? Or is it not? One of the things you can do, you guys are all realtors, go back to the MLS. Look at the comparables in your area. What are other units renting for? If they are renting with laminate countertops, then go that direction. Okay? If you see that the granite countertops are making a huge difference, go that direction. Okay? Sometimes they will. If you're here in North Scottsdale and whatnot, you've got a dated place, then having those granite tops, new cabinets, so that is going to make a difference. Okay? So always look at that. What am I going to do with my cash? All right? All right. So let's talk about how we're going to find some deals and whatnot. So hey, all right, we're evaluating. We know we got a value. We got to be on there. Now let's start talking about how we're going to put all that to use and what are we going to do. All right. So you've been told multiple times, and I'm going to tell you again: make these things your daily habits. All right. Number one, How do you know the wipeout rate for agents in a 5-year period in our business? 87%. Yeah, 87%. All right, this is very high. It will be like that again. It's 87% of licensees will not make it past 5 years. Okay? Why is that? Well, a lot of them, they do it as a part-time job. It's a part-time job for you, it's a part-time job for you. No problem. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you treat it as a part-time job and it's your full-time job, you're going to have an issue. All right? So, right now, what's our biggest struggle? Trying to actually get offers accepted? Is that like the biggest struggle right now? Because I can tell you that's my biggest struggle. Like I got a guy right now that's he's got about 5% down. And he doesn't want to waive appraisals. And it's tough. Like, I don't blame him. I'm like, hey, I don't blame you. I will take my time with you. But this is what you're up against. People that will waive the appraisal. People that will go, I'll let you stay there for 6 months beyond. I'll not charge you any rent for that time. I'm like, there's nothing you can do. Like, I can work some magic, but I can't work that magic. Okay, I can't make miracles happen. So those are some of the issues that you have. Now, there's different ways and whatnot, and one of the things that we got to do is we got to kind of explore them, get crafty. Now, with that particular guy, it's like I've got to get him to go, hey man, you've got to get to the point where you're going to have to waive that appraisal, or we're not going to get anything accepted. That's how it's going to be. All right, won't always be like that. Hopefully this year will change and whatnot, but we need to look for things outside the box and whatnot as we are looking for stuff for our buyers. Okay. All right. So MLS searches. Everybody knows how to do that. I need you to expand on. Okay, expand on what you are looking for. All right. So your residential. Anybody use the hot sheet? Nobody uses the hot sheet? There you go. Good man. All right. Go to the hot sheet every day. Okay. Pull up your MLS. Search hot sheet. Do it. You can customize it. You can customize it for your part of town, what you're looking for. All right. Residential under 200,000. Residential over $1 million. I don't care what it is. Whatever you're looking for, you can customize it. Go pull it every day. All right. Hot sheet to pull up, going to take you a couple minutes. All right. Look at the hot sheet because that's the newest stuff that's hitting the market. All right. Look at your hot sheet. Create a search from it. So that way it's sending to you. Get up. Now, you should have multiple searches that are going to yourself every morning. Okay. Save yourself some time. Multiple searches that are going every morning and they drop stuff to you. So like when I was actively buying a lot of multi-units, or I had my buyers that were buying a lot of multi-units, what I would do is I would have duplex, triplex, fourplex, and it would send me every morning. I'd click it open, I'd be looking for new stuff. I'd look what's new on the market. Then I'd go do other searches and whatnot. But actively, what is my buyer looking for? You can put yourself on their search, have that going, but you got to look a little, expand a little bit. All right, go a little farther north, a little farther south, whatever you can do, but have those searches going. Okay. Old listings, look for searches and try to find stuff that's been on the market for more than a month. Okay, not expired too. Yeah, look at expired and stuff like that, but look at stuff that's been sitting for a while. Anything that's been hanging and lingering on, probably some sort of issue with it. Okay, if that issue of somehow it can be factored in and whatnot, then we've got ourselves an opportunity. All right, but look at those older listings and those expired listings too. Get to know some of the brokers and some of the power players in town and in this brokerage right here. You know, there are some big teams here. They do a lot of volume. When you get, or if you look at the mastermind, or you get the monthly email and whatnot, they're going to tell you who the high volume teams are and whatnot. Start following some of those guys. Okay, see if you can start to follow different people and whatnot, and start seeing what are they doing, because you're going to see what the trend is there. All right, so start following some of them and look for specific brokers. There are definitely brokers that do more in different areas, whether it's multifamily, whether it's single family, whatever it is. Just start looking, follow them a little bit more. Okay, all this is designed, and this is what I'm telling you, on your MLS searches and whatnot. You should be at least putting in, I would say, a minimum half hour to maybe an hour in the morning, going through, looking, sifting through, and whatnot. The time will dwindle down, and maybe you consolidate it down to like 15, 10 minutes and whatnot. Spend a little bit of time. I don't care if it's 5 minutes. Go through, look for stuff that you would normally look for, and do it daily. Give yourself an opportunity. You might find something. Okay. We talked about different things on multi-dwellings and whatnot that you're looking for. When you're looking through multi-dwellings, if the agent has done their homework and done things properly, look at those gross rents. If you see something with high gross rents, that's a potential opportunity there. If you see something in their expense sheet that looks really high, then that's something that you can disqualify it from. For instance, if you see them have like a high management fee, high HOA fee, or anything like that, a lot of times that really is going to eat that profit. That's in that blind spot where you're like, ooh, I found a deal, and then you come back and you're like, oh crap, there is an HOA of like $600 a month there. That's a killer. Okay, water, and sometimes it will pay for water, garbage, and sewer. Other times it won't. But even if it does, if I'm paying for water, garbage, and sewer, then I'm getting usage out of it. If I'm vacant, then I know that my water, garbage, and sewer is going down because I have one unit that's not paying. HOA stays the same and keeps going up. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. If any of you haven't done this, look through multi-property every now and again, maybe once a week. Multi-property is stuff that's bundled together. Okay. A lot of times owners don't realize that you don't have to sell it all together, or they think they do, or they want to. Like you want to. What do you want and what you need are two different things, right? Okay. I want a Lamborghini, but I need a car. Okay, a Pinto will do just fine. It'll get me there. I want that Lamborghini, but a Pinto will get me there just as well. So wants and needs are two different things. Wants and needs change so quickly when you've been sitting on a property. Believe me, so somebody who has multiple LLCs and has done flips and whatnot, when you're sitting there for a while, you're like, oh yeah, I want $1 million, but I'll take 800 now because I need to move. I want to sell this whole portfolio together, but I will chop this off now because I need to move that. All right. So when they're bundled and whatnot, especially if it's gone after a while, that's the time to make a call to that agent. Hey, Jim, that 12 unit bundle that you got over there been sitting a while. I want that. I want one of the four. So I don't want the other two, but I want one of them. My guy's willing to make an offer. Is your guy willing to listen now? That phone call, he says no. Great. That 15 seconds, who cares? Whatever, 30-second calls. By the way, try to make calls, guys. Try to make calls. I know we're in a text age and whatnot. Calls go so much faster. So, for instance, I have people that text me about how much do you think this will rent for and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, give me 5 minutes. Because in 5 minutes, you have my attention. And I can get in there and I can answer all your questions. Versus us texting back and forth. Every time you text me, like, with all due respect, it's like I'm not just sitting on the edge of my chair waiting for your text. Like I got a zillion different things going on. You ever see that old guy that's got he's spinning plates and it's in black and white. He's got spinning plates on these long like things, and I'm like sometimes I feel like that, and that's how it is. Well, every time you bring me back to the text, I'm like, oh crud. Okay, well let me go back and try to refigure that out and everything. So I guess you're going to take more time for you too. So don't even worry about Jim's time. It's your time. Your time's valuable. So make the call. Hey, is it one of this? No. Okay, goodbye. Gone. On to the next one. All right. So that way you're not texting. Then he texts back. You don't even know the number. You don't have his number saved. And they're like, what was I texting this guy about? Now you're actually taking more time to deal with that text and whatnot. So if you can get that call in, get that done, do it like that. All right. But those are different things that you can do. And I hit that. Long days on the market. They may want to listen. All right. So what's next? All right. Let's talk wholesalers. Anybody deal with wholesalers yet? Yes. Who? And when you gonna give?
What?
What's their name off the top of your head?
I mean a lot. Keegley.
Keegley, perfect. Keegley's, they're actually licensed in here. Okay, they send stuff out and whatnot. Now, keep an eye on Keegley, AZ Properties, blah blah blah. There's a million of them. Okay, you can find them. Go Google them and you'll start finding them and whatnot. And then they're gonna find you. Like they'll like I don't know maybe a dozen of them that email me daily, and so. As they're sending you stuff, anybody familiar with the term daisy chaining? Yeah? Okay. So daisy chain means that one wholesaler gets a deal, and what does he do? He sends it out to all his immediate clients. Okay? And that's after he's called his best clients. And then he sends it out to the other wholesalers. And what do those other wholesalers do? They send it to other wholesalers. But what do? They add another $5,000. Some of them are greedy. Some of them add another 10, 20 grand and whatnot, and you can call them on it and whatnot. So, and I've got one guy that I've been working with a long time. He's not a wholesaler. He thinks he is, but he's not a wholesaler. And he's always sending me stuff, and he's like, hey, I found this deal. It's like it's this price, and I'm like, really? Here, I found that deal, and it's this price. It's 10,000 less. Oh, well, and I was like, dude, don't sell me this stuff like that. Don't add a lot of fee to it. I was like, because I can find it without you, you know. So be careful of that. Be wary of daisy chainers. Now, on the other hand, wholesalers are great guys to get to know. They want to sell. They absolutely want you to sell the property to you. A lot of it's garbage. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, unfortunately, 95% of the deals, not really deals. Okay, there's not a whole lot there, unless if you're an end buyer. Okay, so let's talk about that really quick. If you're an end buyer, that means that you're going to be somebody that's going to actually, you potentially are moving into the house, or you're the one that's going to keep it or whatnot. Okay, so for the purposes of what I'm talking about is, let's say you've got a client, right? I'm trying to find them a deal. Okay, can't find anything. Going out to listings, this, that, and the other, nothing's there, right? Start looking at these wholesale deals. Something comes across that they can take down, all right? If you got something like that, then there's something there. Now, it's got to make sense for them, and you've got to make sure that you get yours as well. So, for instance, the wholesalers are going to sell you, they'll send you a deal. Their price is their price. You still got to add yours on top of that. Okay, add yours on top of that. You deserve it. Okay, I'm telling you, every one of you deserve it. You deserve to make your money because you're an agent. So you deserve to make your commission. So add it on top, whatever it may be. If you get guys that have been looking at stuff and whatnot, you'll know your buyers. Some of your buyers are like, hey, look, I'm willing to do a little work on the house if I can get it at a better price. Great, those are the perfect ones for this, because you can take them to these wholesalers. Now, you got to know a couple things about this stuff. All right, you need to be able to close quick with them. All right, for the most part, you need to be able to close quick. Now, they're going to do one thing to you for sure. They're going to tell you put $5,000 non-refundable every time, and you're going to tell them, nope, I need to get a look at that thing. All right. Now, if it's a good enough deal, something you can potentially do, but you need a little due diligence time and whatnot. The other thing you have to be able to do is you need to be able to explain to your buyers, how does buying from a wholesaler work? Okay, because the traditional stuff goes out the window. All right, there is no appraisal time. All right, the inspection time could be very minimal. It could be 5 days. Okay, so does anybody have inspection companies that they know that they can go to? Yes. Okay. If you don't, find them. All right. There's we have a power partner here, Alliance, I believe. There's others. Asking the Mastermind and whatnot. Have some wholesalers, or I'm sorry, some home inspectors ready to go. All right. So that way they can go in there and they can look and evaluate and whatnot, and that way you can get that out of the way. All right. If you can get that out of the way and whatnot, there's an opportunity there. Number two, if you have a cash buyer, great. Nothing else to worry about, because they can go in there, they can buy. If they're not a cash buyer, now you have to start talking to them about about hard money lenders. All right, and they'll have to use a hard money lender. I'll talk about that a little bit more here, a little bit more in depth later. But they'll have to close with hard money. It can still be a benefit to them. Okay, here's your job. Your job is to go through and evaluate. All right, so we talked about that in the first slide. You have to evaluate the deal, and then you've got to sell them on why it will work. Okay, you have people balk. Oh, I've got to close and then I've got to refinance it, whatever. That's fine. If it's a good enough deal, that's where you do your numbers. Go, hey, this wholesaler is selling this property for $350,000. The going rate right now is about $450,000. Right? There's a $100,000 spread. It's going to need X to be done to it, $50,000. There's still something there. You still have an opportunity. Or let's say, hey, it doesn't need anything done to it. It's ready to go. A little bit of cleanup, but you're getting about $30,000-$40,000 of instant equity. Okay? Yes, you're gonna have to buy with hard money. It's gonna cost you a little to close. You're gonna refinance. There's gonna be a little bit of extra cost there. You're still $20,000-$30,000 worth of equity that you have there. All right? That's you doing the math, going, it's worth the ARV after repair value, or the final, for whatever the comp is, $400,000, purchasing for $350,000. It's going to cost you $5,000 for closing costs now, maybe $5,000 later. There's $20,000 spread there. All right. It's getting your calculator out, doing a little bit of math, evaluating that, and telling them this is a deal for you, and I can get you this one. We're battling over here. Can't get you that and whatnot. This I can get you, but we're going to have to go in with hard money. Hard money lenders, though, they are going to ask you for minimum, I would say, is 15% down. A lot of times it's 20, 25%. Depends on the condition. They'll let you know. Okay? So your job is you get in there, you start making calls. And that's what it's all about, is make those calls. You got to move fast through it. And that's where being able to evaluate it, you got to move quickly with it. All right? Okay. When I talk about establishing a connection with those wholesalers, all right, you don't need to actively buy anything from them to establish a connection and start getting to know these guys. All right, no matter where they're at on the food chain, start getting to know them, because the thing is you never know when that phone call is going to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I have something that just came in right now. Okay, and that's by checking in with them, whether it's, I would say weekly, monthly, whatever it may be, and that, yes, you can do a text. Hey, Angela over at whatever. Hey, got anything new? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Haven't talked to you in a while. Blah. Send a text. I'll come back to you if she's got something new. If she doesn't, whatever. Touch bases. I'm an agent. I've got buyers looking for stuff. All right? Just constantly touch bases so that way you know when something comes in, you got something there. Okay? All right. We talked about the earnest money, be prepared for a quick close, and the inspection period being minimal, and cash or hard money only for the most part. They're usually not going to hold it for you for a regular conventional. Now, the other thing you may want to do is you want to talk to your conventional lenders and whatnot. I got some guys that can work miracles that have closed in a week, 2 weeks, full appraisal, everything. It's amazing. If you got a lender that can do that, then great, go that way, and you can get that. But explore your options. No, for the most part, I'm going to have to use cash. I'm going to have to use hard money. We've got to close quick. We'll try to get the conventional lined up if we can, if we can. But do this, and if it is a good enough deal, sell your owner or your buyer on that. Sell them as to why this is a good deal. You need to jump on this. This is a buy right here, right? And move fast. That's part of how we're looking for additional stuff. Okay, so there's our wholesalers. Let's see, hard money lenders. All right, same thing I'm going to tell you with wholesalers and whatnot. The wholesalers have hard money lenders, so you can start to ask them. You can Google them. You can start to find them. A couple I'll tell you off the top of my head. Capital One Fund. Look them up. Google them. Quick Source Capital is another one. Get to know these guys. All right. Get cell numbers so you can text. Find out. These guys get stuff back sometimes. All right. So again, we talked about quick closing. Their funding is going to be a little different. You're going to have, points sometimes on it. Usually, always they'll be it's a little more costly than doing it the regular way. It's just how it goes. To move fast, you got to pay a little bit more. You got to convey this to your buyer. Hey, you have to close quickly, so it will cost you a little bit more, but it's worth it. All right. So that's that. They may be able to lend on ARV. So a lot of times, what can happen is if you find one of these deals and whatnot, they can actually sometimes lend you the money to fix it up. Build it into the loan. Okay? Tell your owner, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to build it into the loan, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll sell it to you. Now, another thing, all right, is ask your hard money lenders and your wholesalers, hey, do you have any flippers I can get in touch with that potentially need end buyers? Make that connection, because if you've got guys that are actively flipping. I'll tell you, there's 2 guys upstairs right now that actively flip all the time. Randy Schoenfeld and Michael Broderick. Those guys are always flipping and whatnot. They love end buyers. So if you have clients and they have stuff coming up, hey, you can make that connection, and guess what? Now you got a sale, because it's pre-market. If you can get it pre-market, that's who you want to get to. So you're looking for those guys. So you have to utilize the wholesalers and the hard money lenders in a way that will be beneficial for you, that will help you establish new connections. Because this is the key right now. The key is going and asking and doing that. You can search all day and you can be showing all day and everything like that. There's a lot of problems. The market's very constricted right now. This is a difficult market. This is where you really have to earn it. And this is the stuff you've got to do to earn it, okay? Another thing for these hard money guys, Okay, so as you add this connection, all right, I'm making this connection with, Bonnie, my hard money lender over here. And she's constantly, hey, yeah, Jason, yeah, okay, cool, I've got this. Yes, I can give you this rate. What you need to ask, here's the key, here's the big question. Do you have anything that has come back to you? Okay, because this is what happens. So everybody's watching HGTV and Flip This House and Money Lost Las Vegas, blah, 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 blah. Everybody thinks they're a flipper right now, right? So there's very few flippers that make money, though. Believe me, I've done a lot of deals where I've come out and I'm like, man, we just didn't make a lot of there. It doesn't make sense, okay? Learn. You live and learn. I've done so many of them that you live and learn and you end up there. Well, the problem is that most people that go into it, they don't have the active resources. So they're paying top dollar at Home Depot or wherever else they're getting materials from. They don't know all the special places to go to get better deals on materials, right? They get themselves in trouble. And when they get themselves in trouble, that creates opportunity. And what happens is they run out of money. They are paying this high amount to the hard money lender every month. And now what happens, the hard money lender has to foreclose. So they take it back. Okay? So they take it back. Once they take that property back, they just want somebody else to take it. It may be half done right now. And there's an opportunity for a potential buyer right there. The hard money lenders are not flippers. They do not need to get top dollar on it. They're just like, hey, get somebody else in here. I need to get my money out and I need to put it into something else. They're not in the business of fixing that house up and then flipping it. It's not what they do. Okay? So they will, yes, they may have other guys that they're going to. Who cares? You just need to be that one guy at the right time, that one lady at the right time, where you're calling them. Do you have anything that got returned? Sometimes it can fit your bill. All right. Has any inventory come back? Do you have any inventory right now? Has anything come back to you? Ask the question. Okay. And that's where, as you establish that connection through a couple of calls, then you start getting text. It's just a text. Once in a while. Hey, do you have anything? Anything returned to you lately? You're gonna get a lot of no's. Who cares? No's are like a sandwich. Just eat it. Move on. No's are a good thing. Every no you get just takes you to that next yes, right? Basic sales 101. Just take your no's, no big deal. But ask. You got to ask the question. That's the key. And these are the guys that you will really get some gold from. Few and far between, but you will find it. So again, going back to what I'm saying is every day, going away from what we do as normal realtors of our daily routine of looking for clients and whatnot, now we've got to go that step further of looking for inventory. These are the things we need to do to find that inventory. All right? Okay, we kind of covered all this stuff. Down payments, fix-up funds, all this other stuff that you do with hard money lenders. There's the returns and their inventory. Okay? In the last one there, do you know other investors that are looking to partner? Okay? Another part of looking outside the box, and again, beyond just our homeowner who is looking for a house to move into, you are going to come across people that want to invest and buy some stuff. Okay? A lot of times your investors don't have all the money. They've got enough to be a partner though. Okay? And you can tell them that. Go, hey, look, with all due respect, the 30, 40 grand you have, it's not enough. Okay, but ever thought about partnering up with somebody? You limit your cost, you limit your exposure by half. Now you have somebody else in there that's in the game with you, and you guys can go together and start to build that way. Look for partnerships. You got a brother, you got a sister, you got a cousin, an uncle, whoever, that may be willing to partner up. Also ask the hard money lenders, the wholesalers. You got anybody out there who's looking to partner right now? Okay? Because they get a lot of calls from people. Hey, I've got this, and I'm sorry, you just don't have enough money. You're not ready for this now. What, if you got 50 grand and somebody else has got 50 grand, now you guys got 100 grand, that might be enough to make this thing work. Okay? So ask them, you know anybody else that's looking to partner? All right? Those partnerships and whatnot are opportunities that are open for you. Your job is to just be able to find, sell, make your commission, and move on. Stay with them so that way when they want to sell, you're ready to sell that building for them or find more stuff for them, but finding different avenues. Okay, so we get back to the initial thing that I told you about. What do I do in my job? What works for me? Education. Constantly trying to educate people and tell them this is what you need to do. This is how I've done it, okay? Now, in all the people that have ever come across me and whatnot, I'm sure some have gone and looked at my track record and done that. It's there. but I don't open it and bring it with me. I don't go, oh, here's a book. Let me open this up and show you everything that I've done and whatnot. I just tell them. They want to see more, they want to see more and whatnot. Ultimately, it's them knowing what you're talking, or you talking and them understanding, hey, this guy or this lady or whatever knows what they're talking about, okay? You're always just planting seeds. I'm giving you seeds to plant in your owner's heads. Plant this seed, plant this seed, plant this seed, plant this seed. Because owners sometimes come in and they're just, somebody told me this in a sales class a long time ago when I was selling long distance. If anybody remembers long distance that you'd have on your phone at home. Yeah, some of you are like, what? So anyway, you young lady, there used to be phones in your house, and you would actually have a carrier like AT&T or Bell, and they had when you make long distance calls, they would charge you for that. Believe it or not, those phones didn't even have an answering machine. Do you even know what an answering machine is? Have you seen one? Okay. So anyway, they told me this. They were like, when you're going to sell this long distance and whatnot, it's the same thing as AT&T. But when you run into the guy that goes, my dad was an AT&T customer. My grandpa was an AT&T customer. His grandpa was an AT&T customer. You tell him, sir, thank you for your time, and kindly walk away. Because you will have clients that are just, they have the blinders on. They're like, nope, I want this. I want it off the MLS. I want blah, 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 blah. Cool, no problem. Keep working there. Keep seeing what you can do to fit for them. It's the other clients that you're like dropping these little nuggets in, and one of them goes like, wait a minute, that might work for me. Okay? You won't know until you spring it and start the conversation with them. Once you start that and whatnot, there becomes an opportunity. You ever seen a rotary phone, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Cool. Yeah, so anyway, you got to spark conversations and whatnot, and you got to do things like that. But there are people, they just won't. That's fine, no problem. We'll keep working, we'll keep banging our head against the wall, we'll keep trying to get there. And you just, again, with stuff like that, hit the hot sheet, try to be there first, try to do what you can, try to get them to move. It isn't always going to be like this. For any of you that haven't been in the business for more than a few years and whatnot, it won't always be. Trust me, it won't always be like this. It will change. The seller's market is coming. I don't know when, but it is coming. And when it changes, it's gonna be crazy, because when it got like this, it was like that. All of a sudden, it was like, oh my God, there's no inventory. It's a massive, extreme extreme seller's market. Let me take that back. The buyer's market is coming. It is an extreme seller's market right now. There will be a time where you will come across some sellers who think about this time, and you're gonna be like, no, we need to have an open house, and you need to be prepared to give concessions. You need to be prepared to do all these other things. You need to be prepared for HD videos on your house, blah, blah, blah. Right now, you can take one picture and go, here you go. Doesn't even matter. I guarantee you I will have, my showing time will be filled up with people who want to see your property. That's just it. Okay, if you have listings right now, then everything I'm saying doesn't matter, because you can do anything with listings, okay? And go find them and whatnot. And my class isn't designed for listings and whatnot. My class is designed to tell you, hey, these are the different opportunities that we need to find on the buy side. Okay? So the thing is it will change. At some point it will change, and it's going to be a completely different thing, and it's going to be head spinning how it turns. Is it going to be this war? I don't think so. Could it be rates going through the roof? Could be that. Could it be that people flood into something else and there's some other hot commodity? Real estate's a commodity like anything else. Bitcoin, blah, blah. They're all different commodities and whatnot on different scales and whatever. Real estate's just a hot thing right now. It'll change. It will change at some point, okay?
So you anticipating a slight crash or more stabilization?
I don't think it'll be a crash. See, when we had our last crash in 07, 06, that crash came because we had a lot of bad mortgages, we had a lot of bad debt. The hedge fund guys were doing a lot of nasty stuff, and it all came to a head when the laws came in and changed. I think what will happen more here is there'll be some sort of slowdown. Either it starts becoming too expensive. Like there's always a tipping point where, like, take for instance for me as an investor, there's a tipping point where I'm like, I'm no longer willing to buy that because I can't get the return I want. So it doesn't make sense for me anymore. Okay? I don't buy a lot of fourplexes, triplexes. The return isn't what I want. It still works for a lot of people, but it's not what I want on it. When there's enough people that are like me that go, that's not a good enough return for me. It's too much risk. I'm out. And it starts to change where buyers are like, no, I'm not going to buy that. Like, the houses are just too expensive. There's a price where a lot of buyers are just like, forget it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. It's too much for a house in Arizona. Like I'm originally from California. It's hard for me to get my head around going like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in certain parts of town, $600,000. I can't. It doesn't make sense to me in Arizona. Like you leave California to go buy a $200,000 house in Arizona and retire. That's what I thought it was. That's not the case anymore. Eventually, there will be enough people that are coming from California, buyers that are like, no, I'm not going to pay $500,000 or $1 million for that house. I can buy one of those down the street here. When that happens, then there's going to be some sort of adjustment. I think it's going to be a correction, more of a 10, 15, 20% correction, some sort of slowdown, or what could happen is generally in a supply and demand situation. This is basic economics right now. Supply and demand curve. And at one point, there's too much demand and not enough supply. Well, what happens is houses start sitting on the market, you start having some panicking, then there's some panic sellers, and then they could flood the market and start going, and that could make it go down. But I think only to a certain level. I severely don't think we're going to have a lot of super panic sell-off because we don't have bad loans. We don't have bad debt like that. Now, if the interest rates go up and they go up like high, we go from the 3s and 4s and 5s to where it starts being like you got to borrow money at 7, 8, 9% to buy a house. Now you can see a big correction because now it's way too expensive for people. They're like, no, man, that's a huge amount that I got to pay for my mortgage. So no, I'm not willing to do that. One of those two things. And when it's going to happen, your guess is mine, man. I've been waiting for this for years. Like I'm waiting for a crash. I won't lie. I want to see a crash because I don't have to sell. I don't have a single property that I need to sell. Everything is all leveraged or put in the correct way for me. So if I don't ever sell it, and my end game really is cash flow, all I really want is rents. I can stack up those rents from here to infinity. If the building's worth $100,000 or $1 million, it's no different. It doesn't matter to me, because I can still collect my rents. There's a whole other side of that with finance and everything else, but the bottom line is that works for me. So I'm like, hey, I want another crash, so I can go buy a ton of property for it. I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think it's more of a correction, a dip, a spot where it's like, hey, this is a good spot to buy. I don't think it'll ever be in that spot where we were buying back in 2009, 2010, 2011, where it was just crazy. It was ridiculous. If you bought then, you've got some great property now. It's got so much value and everything. And you sit on it or you sold it and repositioned. Okay. All right, let's see. Let me go from there. Because I want to run through personal bankers, good people that you can talk to that are an excellent source for deals and stuff like that, okay? Personal bankers get a lot of buyers, so not the greatest thing in the world right now, but they do also get people that are looking to sell and don't have a realtor, all right? It would behoove you to go through there and do that, and the reason I know that is because I used to be a personal banker at Chase. I did that for 18 months in 2008 to part of 2010. That was like the best vacation I ever had. Going to work 40 hours a week, no weekends, no phone calls, nothing like that. But I made money. And I'll tell you one thing, I like making money a whole lot better than being on vacation. Okay? That's just true. And that's the thing. I talk to a lot of people when I'm hiring and stuff like that. It's like, what motivates you? And if money isn't a motivator, then I'm like, I'm sorry, this isn't for you. This is a job where you're trying to make some money. That ultimately should be a goal and whatnot. So as a personal banker, I was like, I'm making money doing this. This sucks. It's great. I don't have a whole lot of headache, but this sucks. One thing I did get is a lot of connections, a lot of people that I met out of there. A lot of people that came in, a lot of money people that come into the bank and they're looking for something. I was there for 18 months. I didn't have a realtor to go to. I had some realtors that would come in the bank, but they didn't pass their card along or they didn't stand out. They didn't follow up with me. At that point, I'm the consumer. If I'm the banker, I'm the hard money lender, I'm the wholesaler. I'm the consumer. You're still the agent, okay? So you're the buyer. You got to go to them, sell them on why they need to be in contact with you, or just establish a relationship with them. Go in there, talk to your person, but bring them a cup of coffee. If you would have brought me a cup of coffee, I'd have been like, oh man, that person stands out. I like to talk. A lot of bankers like to talk, and so they'll start telling you all kinds of stuff. All you do is use that as a connection, and it's a win-win. Remember, as a banker, I need to refer people to people that are going to get the job done. I can't make any money on it, but the thing is I want them to bring me more money, eventually put in my bank, or send me more customers. All I need is a good referral. Same thing that I do with you guys as a property manager. Hey, I pay out a referral. It's very minimal, because I mean, for each door we make, it's not a ton, but I want you to go, hey, there's a resource. Okay, you don't have to send me any property management or whatnot. Use me as a resource. I got a ton of it. Oh, by the way, if you got somebody, send them my way. Let me take care of them and whatnot, and I'll send them back to you. Okay, but that's the thing. It's all about building relationships. Ask these guys. They are constantly looking for resources. They're readily available. They've got a huge outreach. Whoever's down the street from you, Wells, B of A, Chase, Comerica, whatever. I'd get a guy in each bank if I were you. Go around every morning. Go buy 6 donuts. Go around, hand them a donut. Hey, what's up? Just see if you got anything or whatnot. How's your day going? BS with them for 5 minutes and take off. Come back like, next month, every other month even. Even if you're every other month, if you're the guy or gal bringing them a donut or bringing them a coffee or whatever, it's going to make a difference. Get to know the branch managers there too. Branch managers have even more of an outreach and whatnot. So they're just people, they're there, they stand there all day, waiting, fishing basically. They'll fish for you if you are the one that stands out for them. They tell you, hey, I got a realtor, cool, nice to meet you. Come back next month and try it again. Can't hurt. All right, attorneys. Oh yeah, attorneys are a good one too. Probate, public. They're direct to the public. Divorce, consolidation, clients and debt. I'm down to like 5 minutes, guys. So I'm gonna really power through this really quick. Get to know some attorneys, okay? Because I want to at least have a little bit of time for questions for you guys. People get into all kinds of financial trouble. You probably have either a cousin, nephew, aunt, uncle, somebody. You know somebody in your family that's in some sort of financial trouble all the time. You got a friend. I got multiple friends who are constantly in trouble. All right, and one guy that I bought him out of 2 properties a couple of years ago because he needed the money to get married on a second marriage, and I'm going like, dude, I told him multiple times, I was like, do not sell this property to me. Don't do it. Do not do it. You will be kicking yourself years from now. We just played golf the other day, and he's like, I'm still kicking myself over that because he's got his marriage and whatever else he bought the stuff with, and the money's gone, and those properties are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars more. I told him, I was like, I told you not to do this. I told you not to do this. People are in financial trouble. They're in financial trouble. They need a bailout. Don't feel bad about it. It's like, hey, what you got any property to sell? Let me know. Do you have any clients that need to sell anything or whatnot? Let me know. Okay. Attorneys are great resources. All right. All right. Craigslist. Blah blah blah. You can find some stuff off of Craigslist. I wouldn't recommend a ton of looking through there. Maybe once a month, 10-15 minutes. Look through. Facebook Marketplace too. 10-15 minutes. Look through there. See if you find anything. Most of it's garbage. I would say that's going to be like 99.9%. You never know. Can't hurt for a click. Make it your habits. Chart it out. Go, what am I going to do today that will help me look for some other stuff? Invest half an hour, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it may be. But the more you invest, the more you will find out there. You have to do this right now because this is how it works. Okay? There's Google. Search for your wholesale properties. FSBO, for sale by owner. Do that. Lease to own. You're going to have people that are asking about lease to own right now. Starting to become a thing again. Start looking into it and whatnot. All right? Just check different sales threads and whatnot. My Rental Superstore, that's me. That's our basics up there. We manage them for you as agents and whatnot. Like right now, we're paying out. It's like $150 referral fee for the management portion of it. That's not what you want me for. You need me to take care of your client. All right? You need me there to take care of them, deal with them directly, and then when it's time to sell, they go back to you. Okay. My office is at the top of the stairs here. I'm only here 1 day a week. We're down off of 19th Avenue in Camelback. That's where our main hub is. But the thing is that I've been with this company as a preferred partner now, but also as an agent since, when did I get my license? 2011. So Mark and Jeremy, the owners, they're up there, great dudes. And it's funny. I walk in their office and it's like day one when I used to go and visit them at Jeremy's dad's construction company, and I would bring them a paper file, drop it on the desk, and go, here's everything I got, guys. And Jeremy would be like, you need to go back and scan this, turn it into a PDF. And so I'd go and I scanned it into PDFs, and I'd email the stuff to him, the broker, directly. Now you got, what is it, SkySlope, gotta upload all the stuff there, and whatever. But that's what I'm here for. Okay, I've been here as a resource. I'm going to continue to do that for you guys. I don't think my number's up there, but I do have some extra pens and whatnot I'm going to give you guys because I need to hand out some more pens and whatnot. But please call me, contact me, let me know if there's anything I can do to help you guys out. That's really what I'm here for. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
So find a property, do a hard money loan with a rehab, get it ready for rental, and then what's the time frame on refinancing that?
If it is
conventional.
So if it is, depending on how you bought it with hard money, you can usually do it right away.
Right away.
You can usually do it right away, but they are going to probably go off of the purchase price. Okay? So if you want to try to get it changed to where you want to get a new appraisal and whatnot, you're going to end up probably, I can't believe I grabbed the exact right amount. A new appraisal can take you anywhere from 6 months to a year. Talk to your lender. Okay? Usually it'll be 6 months. So you get that appraisal and whatnot, and then you go off that new value. That's ultimately what you want to do. Is so let's say, for instance, you bought it for what's that?
4 months.
4 months over there. They're all different. I got one guy that'll do it like right away.
For
He'll,
are you talking about how long appraisal is good for?
no.
Oh, okay.
How long it'll take for them to give you the new appraised value? So I bought it for $300. I put $50,000 into it.
I see.
Okay, it's now worth $450. I want to refinance it off the $450, right?
Right.
To get them to give you that new appraisal, standard used to be, it's going to take you 6 months. Every lender's different. So start talking to different lenders and whatnot as well. How long will it take me to do that? Okay, if you can build that into your cost, do it. If it's going to be, too long, then it may not make sense for your buyer and whatnot. But yeah, try to find some lenders that will do that quicker.
Are you also property managing like Airbnbs, short-term rentals?
No, I don't do any short term. I do 6 months or greater and whatnot. Airbnb is a completely different animal. It's just outside my scope. If you've got tenants, you've got people that are looking for something, reach out. I'll tell you what they got in what I've got in my inventory and whatnot. But I'm not a rental showing agent. I just don't have the manpower for it and whatnot. Reach into the mastermind, see if you can get somebody that'll take it from that standpoint. If somebody who's looking for other rentals and whatnot, that's what I would do with them. Or if you're new to the business, go show them. If you are brand new and whatnot, the best thing you can do is go do some rental showings. It's great practice for doing showings for your buyers and whatnot. It is excellent practice. Go do it. It doesn't pay very much. $200, $150, $300 on a co-broke. It pays you nothing, but it's great practice. It is excellent practice, especially because if any of you haven't experienced this yet, you are going to have buyers that are like, okay, I want to see these 6 houses. You set up your route and everything like that, and they're like, I want to add these 3, like right before. Yep, and you're like, why? Do you know how hard it is to rearrange all this stuff and whatnot? And then as you start to do the showings and whatnot, you don't know what you got. Are they a 30-minute looker? Are they a 5-minute looker? And now your time frame's all off, and you're like, son of a. So when you do it with rentals, who cares? Hey, you know what, man? You're just going to deal with it. You can tell them no and whatever. I mean, who cares? It's a minimal commitment, and you can tell them that. Go, look, I don't get paid nothing for this. I am more than willing to show you. So I'm actually probably losing money here, but I'll go and take you on a tour and whatnot, and then you can kind of gauge and see how it goes. And it helps you get a lot better at it. Like down the road, like now, it's like I do this and I build in other things based on the client before I'm talking to them and whatnot. In the beginning, I was always in a time crunch, and I'm going like, how does this always happen and whatnot? And it took time to kind of figure that out. So yeah, do a few of those things and whatnot. That it helps, and you see those rental clients are so different too. What they're looking for is completely different from what a buyer is looking for. Don't you think it's good to know what renters are looking for too when you're selling buyers? Yes. So get to know exactly what is going through these heads of these buyers when they're looking through there. It's invaluable. All different things to know in your tool belt and whatnot, because you're not just selling a single family home, you're selling a bunch of different things. And so the more you can offer them, the more value you are, the better off you'll be. Okay? All right. Anything else? Yes, sir.
What's the max you think that you would pay for like an HOA fee on a long-term rental for it to make sense?
Oh, that's a really tough question. I mean, it depends on how much you're getting in rents and whatnot. But if I'm over $300, I'm kind of going like, ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. On condos, you start getting up there, you're like, damn, what am I getting out of that? You know? So yeah, start looking. You get over 300, and in most cases, they're over 200. You're like, I don't know. You got to build that cost in and whatnot, and go, what amenities are coming with it? Because a lot of times it's like $300, and what are you guys doing for me? Yeah, you'll take care of the roof, but I mean, you got no gym, you got no, you got a pool, but it's kind of crappy.
Do you
blah,
build
blah,
that
blah.
into the rent that you charge, or?
No, I never go, this is my cost for rent, and you're also paying HOA. I just say, this is the rent.
But do you charge them more if it's a higher HOA?
I'd love to, but here's the question, will they pay that?
Yeah.
See, rent is never determined by me. Rent is just like a sale. Rent is only what somebody's willing to pay for. So the thing is you could try to do that, but the guy down the street is charging it and not doing it, kind of screwed. So you have to evaluate, what is the market doing? What will the market bear? Always look, what will the market bear? And if it makes sense, then run with it. If it doesn't, move on. Okay? Cost is a big thing. Same old broken record. It's you make money when you buy, not when you sell. Always look, what am I getting when I buy? Yes, sir.
In today's market, do you prefer single family or multifamily for investment properties?
I always prefer multifamily, but that's because I'm a multifamily guy. Okay, that works for me. That strategy really works. Remember, when you have that multifamily, you have multiple moving parts of things that can break down and stuff like that. It depends on what the return is. Okay, one thing that I don't cover in this class, I used to cover in my other class, is called ROI, return on investment. Right? All right. ROI is based on your cash investment. All right. So look, when you hear cap rate and everything like that, I'll tell you cap rate's the biggest BS that you can hear out there and whatnot. It really will not help you in a lot of avenues. ROI, your return on investment. How much money did I put down? How much money am I making? And divide that multiplier. If that ROI is better, if I'm getting 10% on that single family, but only 4% on the multifamily, go with single family. If I'm getting 20% on the multifamily, but only 10% on the single family, go with the multifamily. If cash flow is your strategy. So you got to look at what's the strategy. What are you playing for? Be very careful if you're trying to play for appreciation. When I say play, if you're investing hoping that the market's going to go up, be extremely careful. That's how we all got screwed back in 2007, 2008. Yeah, it gets ugly. Guys, lunch is ready. Those of you who want to go, grab something to eat, do it. Thank you guys for coming in. Anybody who's got other questions, I will be here for a little bit. If you want to come in and ask him, please do.
Couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I sent you a few comments for the